Hi, my name is Michelle Sanders. I'm making this video to share my paranormal experiences, some of the most notable paranormal experiences I've had throughout my life. And I'd like to share this with fellow rhesus negatives. And I'd like to compare my the situations that I experienced, paranormal occurrences that I had, see if you had anything similar to that. The ones I've had a lot of them throughout my life, but the ones that I'm going to share with you are the ones that stick out the most in my head. In a previous video, I shared about how I'd had a dream, so I'm going to go ahead and start with that one. When I would say like 10 or 11, I had a lucid dream. So it seemed to me as if it was like I was awake. I didn't know I was asleep. And I had gotten up to go to the bathroom. I was wearing a long blue satin nightgown, and I go to the bathroom. I turn the light on, and I look into the mirror, and this reptilian-looking hand with brown and yellow grays, long fingernails, grabs me by my throat, pulls me back, and my hair was down to here. It grabs me by my hair and drags me down the hallway through the living room. I hear the patio door slam open really loud, and it didn't stop when this happened. I don't know how, if there was somebody else there that did that or what. And it drags me through our patio, and then it starts spinning me in circles through the yard, just dragging me. And this went on for minutes. I never once saw it, whatever it was that was dragging me around, other than the hand. I wake up in my bed, and I turn the light on. And my nightgown is torn. I've got grass stains all over. My knees and elbows are skidded. I have cuts and bruises the next day. I had my hair was ripped out. I could feel where hair had been ripped out. Grass all in my hair, mud, you name it. It literally looked. I mean, if I would have had to have done this myself, I would have had to got up, went outside, and rolled around in the grass. I don't know how the injuries that I had injuries on my back. I had scrapes on my back. But I was a kid, and I thought, it was just a nightmare. I didn't really understand that. And before this dream, I had many experiences where I would go to bed, and I was like 8 years old. I used to talk a lot about the end of days to my mom. My mother's not a religious woman. She believes in God, but that's about the extent of it. She doesn't read the Bible. She doesn't study anything like that. I am the only rhesus negative from the immediate family I came from. My sister, my brother, my father, and my mother all were positives. And I got my negative blood from both of my grandmothers. They both had the negative blood. I had many experiences going to bed at night as a child, and from the age of 7 and 8. I was afraid that something was going to come through the window and get me, and I was constantly freaking out about the possibility of things. I was always thinking of what if. Some people would call me like a hypochondriac, but I just felt like there was something out there that wanted to come and get me, And so that was my first experience, and my only experience ever seeing something reptilian looking. And I know a lot of RH negatives have had experiences with reptilian looking creatures. They've had abductions and stuff. So I just thought that was an interesting parallel to other people's experiences. I'd say about a year later, my sister, this was back in like the late 80s, early 90s, you know, when hair metal was like majestic, you know. Everybody was into Skid Row, Metallica, you know, Megadeth, you know. And me and my sister both were in, you know, all the butt rock, you know. And I wake up one night and she had told me before all this occurred that how her and one of her friends, a couple of her friends, went out into the woods and did like a satanic ritual trying to bring back one of their friends from the dead. And they had like, I mean, they were going full force, you know, speaking Latin, you know. I don't know if they used the Necronomicon or not, I don't know. They were doing rituals. And after this happened, the people that were all involved had nightmares, and the demonic being would visit them while they would sleep. And she tells me this, and I didn't believe it. I was like, okay, whatever, you're just trying to scare me. So this one night she wakes me up. She's like, I'm scared. I want you to come and sleep in my room. And I was like, well, you're scared? Why don't you come into my room? And she's like, no, I want you to come to my room. I was like, okay. So I go to bed with her, and I was laying on the outside. She was laying up against where the wall would be. And I fall asleep, and I don't know how long I had been asleep, but I wake up to her screaming. And I look over, and my sister is levitating. She's up against the wall, levitating, about 4 feet up above the bed. And she starts sliding down slowly, and it starts ripping off. She had a Motley Crue poster, and that was being ripped off. So I freak the hell out. I jump up, I go to my parents' room, and I'm like screaming to wake my mom and dad up. And my dad was a really light sleeper, especially if one of his kids came in the room, you know? And he wouldn't wake up. This went on for a few minutes of me trying to get the man awake, and it just wouldn't happen. And then finally he opened his eyes, and I realized my sister had just walked in the room. So I thought that was really interesting. Like, why wouldn't my parents wake up? And you know, what the hell had my sister fucking levitating? You know, you see something like that, and you can't come back from that. You can't. You could be a skeptic all you want, but when you experience something like that, it changes you. So, you know, I, of course, started getting interested in paranormal studies, and as a kid, my place in the library was the metaphysical section. Always has been, always will be. In this house that I had the dream, and then she was levitating, is where a lot of experiences we had, they happened there. I don't know if the house was haunted. I don't know if it was linked to what my sister had done, but there was a lot of weird things that happened. Let's see, fast forward to, I was 13 or 14. No, I was 12 or 13, I guess. My sister had went to college. And it was like a Sunday. My mom had cleaned the house that day, and all the windows were open. It was like overcast and cool outside. And it was like sunset, and you know, probably like 6 o'clock at night. And I'm on the phone with one of my friends, and I see something out of the corner of my eye. And I look out my window, and there's a ginormous orb floating outside my window. Orb of light. You know, it was probably 12 feet away, and looked about this big. Just moving around like this. And so I throw the phone down, and I get up, I run out of my room into the hallway, and this is like just a few seconds. By the time I get to the hallway, I'm passing our front door, which was open. I see the orb. It had made its way from my side of the house all the way around to the other side of the house, and it was traveling towards my backyard. My dad was in the garage working on a car or something, and my mom and my cousin were in the living room. And so I run in there, and I'm like, I just saw a freaking ball of light outside my bedroom window, like a floating light, and then it was over by Dad, and of course they start making fun of me. They don't believe me, which I've had to deal with that my whole life. I've had to deal with skeptics and people just not listening to me or not believing what I say. It's like they have blinders on. Now, some people call them NPCs, but there are so many people you try to share intimate experience with, and they just mock you. They don't believe you because they didn't experience it. I mean, I don't understand why people think, I could imagine going around in life and accusing everyone of being liars. That's literally what they do. Being a skeptic, you're accusing people of lying. I have nothing to gain from lying. Talking about any of these experiences. I just want to understand them, and I want to understand why they happen to me. And not just why they happen to me, but why they happen to other RH negative individuals. Because we all feel isolated. We all feel alone and misunderstood. We're the people in the room that are in the back of the room, that observe everything. And a lot of times we don't feel confident enough to speak up in a crowd full of people because we already know what they think. We know the depth of their intellect, and they don't operate on the same frequencies that we do. We operate on a higher wavelength. But so anyway, I could see this orb floating around in the backyard, through the patio door, through the kitchen window. And instead of them looking outside, to see what I'm seeing, they just laughed at me. So I went back to my room, and I shut the window and shut my blinds and, tried to get past it. Well, also my sister, this is an experience she had in the same house right before she went to college. She was sitting outside with our neighbor on our curb, and on the same side of the house my bedroom window was, my parents' bedroom window was there, and we had this big silver box with like a lock on it attached to the house. I don't know what it had in it, but her friend went inside for dinner, and he said he'd be out in like 10 minutes. And she's sitting there, and it was sunny outside. Next thing she knows, it's dark. She's not at the curb. She's laying on her back by the silver box, and her foot hurts. So she looks at her foot. Her shoes are off, which her shoes were on beforehand, and she has a perfect X cut in her foot. And so she goes inside and tells my dad about it. They go out, they look, they have no idea what caused this cut on my sister's foot. I don't know if you could link that to it or not, but that happened there as well. Many years later, and that would have happened in like 1992 or so. So in 2014, I took my daughter, who was 14, and her friend, and my husband. We went trick-or-treating in my old neighborhood. And we get out at the beginning of the street, and I'm telling them the story about the orb, perfect night to do it, it's Halloween. And as we come up to the house, I'm like, I'm going to take some pictures of my old house. So I just got done telling my daughter about the orb, and I take pictures of my bedroom window, and the orb showed up in the pictures. I have 3 pictures of this orb. What are the chances of that? How many years is that? From 1991? What's that? 20? I'm not good with math. 20 years, something. I don't know, it's a long time, okay? And I tell the story. I don't live in this house, and I'm talking about the orb, and then the orb appears. It's just really weird. Also, in that same house, I had I was all by myself. I was talking on the phone to one of my boyfriends, and I was like 14 or 15 when this happened. My mom was gone. My brother was at a football game, and the living room window, the curtains were open, and I heard this knock on the window, and on that side of the house was really dark. And I thought maybe it was my next door neighbors that did it, but I got like chills all over, and so I put the phone down. I went to my parents' room to look out the window, and I realized my next door neighbors, there were 3 guys, and they were all jocks, and it was football season, and they most likely were also at football games, because their parents' cars were gone and no one was there. So I got so freaked out, I didn't know how to use a gun or anything. I get in my parents' gun cabinet, and I get this old rifle, and I went back into the living room. I locked the front door, I got back on the phone with my boyfriend. I was like, you guys need to come pick me up. I don't know, my mom is gone. She's not going to be home anytime soon. I don't know if there's somebody messing with me or what. And as I sat down in the hallway because I just didn't want to be in front of the window, and I heard the knock again. So that was really, really creepy. I never found out if it was a person, who knows what it was. But that's another weird experience that happened in my house. But, yeah, speaking of orbs, back in 2015, the Long Island medium, Teresa Caputo, she came to Oklahoma City. And my husband knows how much I love her. She's also a racist negative. And so he got me and him tickets. And the night before the event, I had a dream. There was like 30 people surrounding me in this room. And they all had different clothes from different eras. They had modern clothes going all the way back to hundreds of years of, clothes. And I could tell they were my relatives on my father's side. My main name is Campbell. I could tell that they were my relatives by the way their eyes and their teeth looked, and their green eyes. We have an eye set, it kind of goes in right here, and we have pointy teeth. I just knew they were my relatives, but they were my ancestors. There was even a guy wearing a kilt. And none of them said anything to me. They were just around me. That's all I could really remember of this dream. So I'm super excited. We go downtown, and they tell us we can't film it because of her show. I guess they were going to be filming, so we weren't allowed to film. So we get there, and in the arena, I guess the people that paid the most for their tickets, we paid the second highest amount. They were on the floor, and we were in the arena seats going upward, and we were on the second row, right there. So we were super close to the floor. And literally what she was doing, she was just, there were so many people to reach, she just kept walking in a circle, and if she felt something, she'd go to somebody, and she started, giving clues out, and people would say, oh yeah, that's my relative or whatever, or my friend. As she started nearing me, I was getting, I was getting really, really excited about it, and she gives out a clue, and my husband goes, oh, that lady over there, she said something, and it literally deterred her from our area, and my heart just sunk to the ground. I was like, oh my God, that was my chance. My father passed away in 2001, so I was really wanting an opportunity to possibly connect with my father. And so, my heart was just broke. And the rest of it, it wasn't just like a normal, I was disappointed, but I felt this deep sadness. It was overcome me. It was horrible. it was just so, it was like, being a little kid and finding out that Santa's not real type of, heartbreak, And so we go through the rest of the show, and we go outside, and I was like, well, let's take some pictures. I mean, we might as well get something from this night, So my husband takes a couple of pictures of me, and the first picture is just a normal picture. But in picture 2 and 3, there's 14 orbs spiraling around me. And I realized that most likely those orbs were the ancestors that I had dreamt about the night before. And I actually have a file on my computer of, there's so many pictures of orbs around me and a family gathering that I've decided to make a folder with the orbs. Probably one of my most favorite orb pictures, my brother-in-law, who converted to Messianic Judaism when I did in 1999, it was Passover, and we were doing the wine on the doorpost, and he's outside praying, and he prays in Aramaic. It's beautiful. And I was taking pictures of him, and this perfect, tiny little orb was like directly above his head. It was so cool. And I may do a video showing these pictures. You might want to see some of these pictures, because they validate what I'm telling you. So I have two more stories I'd like to share, and these are really, one of them is really painful for me. Back in 2012, my husband and I almost divorced. We've been together for 13 years now, but him and I, we were on the verge of being completely over it. We've been fighting for days, and at the time, my husband's a disabled veteran. We both stay home. He's retired. He did 2 tours in Iraq, and he got hit by an IED. He's got traumatic brain injury. He would, dealing with his depression and everything, he got obsessed with gaming, and he would game for 18 hours a day. Sorry, my daughter's here. Can you let her in? Yeah. Anyway, he would game for 18 hours a day, and he would sit in the same spot, and just shooting, just fantasizing about shooting somebody in that energy in the same area over and over again, day after day, year after year. We lived in this apartment for 7 years. Sorry, company just showed up. Anyway, so he sat at this particular spot, just his anger and everything. He was very angry. Still has issues with that, But I believe that you focus intent, you can create thought forms. In Buddhism, they talk about creating thought forms, which orbs, right? And they become little balls of consciousness, and they can be good or they can be bad. They can be positive energy, they can be negative energy. And so he and I are on our patio, and we had 3 sliding doors. We had a sliding door from our bedroom, and one from the dining room, and one from the living room on the patio. We were on the first level, and he and I are making up, and I'm telling him how much I love him. He's telling me how much he loves me, and we're, trying to move on. And there was a workbench up against the wall in our, the outside on the patio, in our bedroom, where the computer desk was. And we both hear this growl. It is not a normal animal growl that you would hear from a dog or a cat. It was a very deep, guttural, creepy-ass growl. So we both look over, and it's at the workbench. And we see a black mass, about this big, coming from the ground, moves up, and I am an artist. I had a paint caddy on the workbench that spins. This thing hits the paint caddy and it moves. And then it shoots up into the tree. And we have cats. At the time we only have 3 cats. I have 9 now. We're like literal cat farmers, okay? And anyway, so I thought, could it have been our cat we had at the time named Mazel Tov? He was a big boy. He couldn't even jump up into a chair in the dining room, so I don't know how the hell he could have shot up into a tree. But that's what I tried to eliminate possibilities, at the moment. And so my husband gets up and he goes to the tree to look to see if, if it was a cat, and there's nothing in the tree. And we get up and we go to walk into the apartment, and all 3 of our cats are standing at the door staring at the tree where this thing shot up. So that happened. And when we first moved into this apartment, it was very dark. There was barely any light that would come in. It would really get to you. Lack of vitamin D and everything, and it would make you feel really depressed if you were in there for too long. And it just didn't feel right. The energy in the apartment, it was a very sad place for me. I'm so glad to be out of there, but it just wasn't. I wasn't happy to move there when we did. Now I watch Ghost Adventures religiously every Saturday night and have for a decade. And my daughter's, one of her friends, would spend the night all the time, and she'd watch Ghost Adventures with us. Well, this one Saturday night when we had first moved in, I had went to a friend's house, and I was just going to watch it on the DVR later when I got home. But her friend was spending the night and, of course, watched it. And I come home and she says, Michelle, I saw a shadow, a man, but it was like a black shadow figure in the bathroom. And I was, part of me thought, well, maybe she saw it. Or maybe she was watching Ghost Adventures and she got freaked out. And I was like, I haven't seen anything like that. So I just shrugged it off. My daughter also told me once that there was, she came in the middle of the night crying, running into our room. She is O negative as well. She comes, and my husband is O negative. And my daughter, the father, he and I aren't together, he is O negative. So my current immediate family is all O negative. So whenever we get mad, it's, not good, because we're all the warrior blood, and it can be a very interesting thing to watch. But anyway, she comes into the room crying, and she's like, Mom, there was this man, he was a black shadow, I could see him walking back and forth, his feet under the door, and it was pretty crazy. So fast forward years later, this was right before we moved into the house we live in now. We moved here in December of 2018. September of 2018, I'm sorry, 2017, I apologize. September of 2017, I'm in my bedroom, like 4:30 in the afternoon, by myself, no one's at home. Was watching some documentaries and some conspiracy, whatever, on YouTube, which I do every day. I study every single day of my life. And it doesn't scare me. I can watch paranormal stuff. I don't get freaked out. And I study it that much that I'm pretty much desensitized to it all. Well, so I'm just chilling in my room, and all of a sudden, out of the corner of my eye, I see a man walk into my bedroom. And my bedroom door you couldn't see from the bed. There was like a little hallway that led into our room, and in the hallway we had a bathroom that you could go to, and then to our closet, and then you go through the hallway and finally enter the room. And this man comes in, he's about 5'9", 5'10". He is completely black, shadowed figure. He's not, there's no features, you just see shape. He was wearing a fedora and a suit, looked almost like a man in black, what I would imagine a man in black to be, but he was just completely black. And he walks in, and what was interesting, he walked in all calm, cool, and collected at first, and then I look at him and I just stared at him. I wasn't like scared. I looked at him like, what the fuck are you doing in my room? You know, like, who the fuck are you? He just stops and kind of freezes and doesn't know what to do, and then darts off into either my closet or my bathroom. So I'm sitting there and I'm like, did this just happen? Did I literally just see either a full body apparition, a demon, a man in black? I don't know what it was, but it was a male figure. He had a hat on, he had a suit. What was that? And so I finally, I'm like, hello, to see if there was a response. There's no response. I was listening for sounds. I couldn't hear anything. I was waiting for it to come back. About 15 minutes go by, and my husband comes home, and I'm like, Robert, I saw a man, but he wasn't a man. He wasn't alive. I don't know what it was. And it went towards the bathroom or the closet. Can you look in there and see if there's somebody in there? And he looked, and there was nobody in there. What was crazy, the next day, my grandfather, my mother's father, I never met. He was in the CIA. When my mom was 15 years old, she has 3 siblings. He had been married to my grandmother for like almost 20 years. He comes home one day and says, I have another family, and I'm leaving. I'm leaving you guys. And he changed his name and his social security number. I know that's pretty hard to do. I don't know that. I don't think that's something easily done. And so for decades, my mom didn't know if her dad was alive or dead. And one of his daughters from the other marriage found my aunts and uncles on Facebook and told them that he had died.
Yeah.
He had died of a heart attack the same moment that I saw this hat man, shadow figure, whatever you call it. He had died that afternoon around 4:30. And I'm in Oklahoma. We've come to find out he was in Texas. His name was Garrett Barlow III, but he had changed his name to like J.D. Smith or something like that. And we don't know if he was part of, some things that could have been linked to the family. We don't know if he was part of MK Ultra. We just know he's part of some black ops. And it was, he was pretty up there enough to be able to change his social security number and his whole identity. He had apparently tried to reach out to my mom and the siblings, and none of them told my mother about it. They all live in Missouri. They all kept it secret from my mom, and none of them tried to talk to him. So I don't know if he had unfinished business. Was that my grandfather? Was it an MIB? I looked into it later, and I decided to see other people's experiences, and they called it Hat Man. And every video I watched of people's similar experiences, they said that they were in bed, and it would happen during the day, it would happen during the night. I even heard a 911 call. This old man called 911. He was like in his room, in his bed, and he could see this man walking out in his yard. And the dog was like freaking out and everything. So, it makes me wonder if it's visited me while I was asleep and I didn't know. There's a lot of people who theorize that, we Rh negatives are targeted individuals. that were watched from birth, that we could be the 144,000 through DNA activation. Yeshua was AB negative based on the Shroud of Turin. Noah would have had pure Orphan genetics, RH negative genetics. It wasn't based on his personality or anything. He hated people. Things were like they are today with society, and he was a hardcore alcoholic, but God chose him for his perfect, pure Orphan genetics. Jacob and Esau were RH negative. A lot of people in the Bible, the prophets, would have been RH negative. And back then, their pineal glands wouldn't have been calcified like they are today due to the fluoridation and, the constant drinking of cow's milk that we do, and all the chemicals they bombard us with, and the vaccines. The experiences I've had that were prophetic or dreams, I have a lot of dreams that come true. I just couldn't imagine what it'd be like back then, how your pineal gland would be. And I would assume that, the prophets that were writing the Bible, they were being contacted through their pineal glands. They'd be contacted through their dreams, they just knew. And I get these feelings a lot, like I just know. I don't know how I know, I just know. But, yeah, those are some of the experiences. Oh, there's one last experience I'm going to share that's pretty interesting. It was May of 1999, and my sister and I went to go visit the father of my child. He was in prison, and we were going to visit him, and she had a boyfriend. I actually met him through her ex-boyfriend that went to prison, and he was his cellmate, and that's how we met. Not the greatest of love stories, But anyway, so we would get up really early, like 6 in the morning on the weekends, and we would drive all the way down. It would take hours to get there. We're in the middle of Oklahoma, and this was in Holdenville, which is like southeast Oklahoma. It's near Texas. And we'd have to take this old highway to get there. And so we're driving, and it's just this little 2-lane highway, And all of a sudden we look over, and there's like military vehicles, like Humvees. Like miles and miles of them. And they start pulling off the side of the road, like parking in a parking lot. This went on, I would say, 20 miles worth of vehicles, military vehicles, and us on the road, and no one else, on this old highway. So that's how our morning started out. We thought that was really odd. So we get to the prison, we visit, we stay there for a few hours. We go to leave, and it's like a bright, sunny day, clear blue sky. And, as you do on road trips back then anyway, you would look out the window instead of the devices, So, looking out the window, and I noticed this little cloud, this tiny, one lone cloud in the sky, little tiny cloud, and it looked prismatic. It had a rainbow overlay to it. We were talking about it. I was like, that's a beautiful cloud, but that's just weird, It's like a little miniature rainbow. So, a couple hours go by, and we're nearing the city, the southern part of Oklahoma City, and the sky's black. You could feel a storm coming, it's tornado season. And my sister thinks it's a bright idea. We live in Bethany, Oklahoma, which is in the north side of OKC. We were near Moore, Oklahoma, which is in the south side of OKC. And so she pulls off, at this underpass, and makes us all get out. Me, her daughter, who was like 5 or 6 at the time, and a couple of my friends. And we pull up under there. There's a lot of other people pulled off the side of the road too, in this underpass. And my intuition was telling me, we need to get the hell out of here. She was like, oh, we'll be safe. And I'm like, no, we're going to get sucked up. Something bad's going to happen. And I finally convinced her to get in the car. So we get in the car and we speed all the way home, and we ended up stopping at my parents' house because they had not a basement, what is it called? Robert? Cellar. We had a storm cellar, like you lift the door. And so we show up at my parents' house, we get in the storm cellar, and it was pretty bad. Well, come to find out, it was one of the worst tornadoes in Oklahoma history, probably in North American history. It was the May 3rd tornado. A lot of FEMA money exchanged during that tornado. And I believe what I witnessed. I witnessed that military convoy that morning. And then as we were leaving, I saw that cloud. I believe it was a HARP cloud. I believe it was a HARP-induced storm. It destroyed more. And where we were at that underpass, that was literally like right where it hit. I mean, neighborhoods destroyed. A lot of people died. It was crazy, but those are some of my paranormal experiences that I wanted to share with you. If you have any similar experiences, feel free to share in the comments below. I'm curious to know how many others of you have had experiences like that with like a shadow figure or a demon or whatever you want to call it. So please like and subscribe, and I thank you for your time.